What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review space, and today we count down the top 10 champions of the year 2011. That's right, when I say champions, I mean wrestling champions, WWE, TNA, and ROH. Let's begin! Alrighty, so let's count down the top 10 champions, wrestling champions of the year 2011. And let's begin with number 10. CM Punk. Well, that's right. Well, CM Punk is the number 10th top champion of the year. And the reason why he's number 10 is because, well, he won the WWE Championship twice this year. Congratulations to him. And also for cutting an amazing promo which led to his eventual huge main event push, and this really solidified his role as a Raw champion, and not just a SmackDown champion, but he's a Raw champion, and this sort of makes him the top guy, unquestionably, of the WWE. I mean, when you're carrying the belt, you got that big WWE belt on your shoulders, which is typically relegated to guys like Cena and even Randy Orton. CM Punk can carry that belt, and you know, he had a really huge push, and he's still carrying that title. And I think that I would pick his second reign over his first one. I think that his second reign is deemed to be a bit more impressive. He's gonna hold on to it a little bit longer, and it's all because he can definitely carry that belt, and he's a convincing champion. People like him, people respect him, and they think that definitely he's over. He has the smarks behind him and the casual fans behind him. So CM Punk. Alright, number 9. Mr. Anderson. Well, Mr. Anderson, yes, he has held the TNA Championship World title this year. As a matter of fact, it was just earlier this year for about a month, just at the beginning of 2011, winning it and holding on to it, and it was a memorable moment simply because it was his first world title, and this finally put him over the top. You know, this kind of made him into a world championship contender. Now, granted, it wasn't the longest title reign, it wasn't the longest title win, but he did cut some really memorable promos, and his mic presence and his charisma, you definitely saw that potential finally realized. And Mr. Anderson, he used to be called Mr. Kennedy in the E, and when he became that world champion, it was convincing, and I was expecting, I thought that he was going to have a longer title reign, and definitely I think that it could have been a longer title reign. He did win it again later in the year, so he's a 2-time TNA champion, but I would pick his first title win as the more impressive one, more memorable one for sure. And somewhere down the road in the future, he can definitely hold that belt again. So that's Mr. Anderson. Alright, number 8. MVP Montavious Porter. Well, he won the IWGP Intercontinental Championship in New Japan. Matter of fact, he was the inaugural champion. He was the first person to hold that belt. And in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is where he's wrestling at now, he won this 8-man tournament, and he basically technically beat 7 other guys. He actually faced 3 men, eventually going on to the finals and winning it. And he held that title for 148 days, which is the longest title reign of that particular belt this year, I believe. And I mean, he's made himself relevant. He's become this guy who left the WWE, or maybe he was fired. I don't even know the full story behind that. If somebody can post the information, the real story in the comments. He either left or he was fired. I think he left, though. I think he left the WWE to pursue, greener pastures, if you can even believe that. But now he's thriving at New Japan, and he was the very first Intercontinental Champion of IWGP. He was the first IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Alright, so that's MVP at number 8. Number
7.
Davey Richards. Okay, so Davey Richards is finally the ROH Ring of Honor World Champion. And this is amazing because Davey Richards is one of the best, technically most charismatic, technical wrestlers out there. Now, granted, he's still a relatively young guy. He's one of these. Sometimes I think the casual, mainstream fans will look at him and see kind of a lack of a better word, a vanilla midget, a kind of guy who might not have the most outgoing personality. He doesn't have this incredibly wild gimmick, but he's a wrestler's wrestler. He can go in the ring, he can deliver amazing in that ring, and I think he would be a little bit higher in the card if we actually saw more of his matches, aside from the usual ROH fan base, and maybe if he was in a more mainstream environment like the E or even in TNA, where we actually get to see him wrestle every single week or every other week, is competing for that title. It would be he would be higher in the card, but there's no doubt that he's had classic matches against guys like Eddie Edwards. So Davey Richards, he can pull off a 5-star classic just like that. So he's up there. He's definitely one of the top 10 champions of the year. All right, number 6. This is the 6th top champion of the year. Robert Roode. That's right, Bobby Roode, aka the leader of the Selfish Generation. Alright, well, Robert Roode won the title from a guy named James Storm, his former partner in Beer Money, and he actually had his first title opportunity Bound for Glory this year against Kurt Angle. He lost that, which was a huge kind of letdown for, I think, fans in general. I mean, people paid money to see Bound for Glory, or at least they were expecting to see a memorable new face like Robert Roode. Eventually, he did win it. And what makes him interesting is that he's a heel, and he turned on his friend, his brother, his best buddy, James Storm. And so this kind of, and he's playing that role right now really well. They're putting him over as this complete devious evil heel, and he reminds me of I would say he reminds me of a mix between Kurt Hennig and Triple H, circa 1998 to 1999. So Robert Roode, he's definitely one of these pure wrestler, very traditional type of wrestlers. I would like to see more of him, and he's definitely one of the best TNA champions in a long time. Alright, number 5, the 5th top champion of the year, Cody Rhodes. That's right, this is Cody Rhodes, the guy who used to have a mask, and he's had a couple of different gimmicks this year where he's a little bit deranged, and he's got a little, that arrogant gimmick where he's just incredibly cocky, and now he's sort of back to that, although he's got this snazzy looking jacket hoodie on, and sleeveless hoodie, and he looks really cool, and he's got a great look, he's got a great attire, he can cut great promos. They've actually managed to push him really well as a mid-carder who has the potential to be a main eventer, and giving further prestige to that Intercontinental Championship, which has sorely needed some kind of relevance. They gave him that old school classic white strap IC belt, which is just a huge improvement, and he looks great with it. His attire goes great with it, and he's a great IC champion, definitely. So Cody Rhodes, he's got all the tools, and I can only imagine what happened to him in 2012. And number 4, the 4th best champion of 2011, the world's greatest tag team. That's right, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. These two are very gifted technicians in ring, very great in ring. We all know how amazing, especially Shelton Benjamin, who was a staple in the WWE mid-card for many years, often overlooked, but incredibly talented. And Charlie Haas is one of those very technical guys as well. Both dudes won the ROH Tag Team Championship, and they've managed to carry it really well. They are great in ring. Every other tag team they go up against, they make them look good, and they just have great chemistry with, and they deliver. They're definitely, I would say they're probably overall the top tag teams right now in the world. They're delivering great matches every single time that they have a match, and I can't wait to see more of them. And it's great for these two to be just continuing to hold gold, albeit the fact that it is tag team gold, not singles, but it's great, definitely. All right, number 3, Eddie Edwards. Oh, snap. Now some of you are thinking, oh, well, Eddie Edwards, really? And why is he over Davey Richards? Well, look, I like Davey Richards, but I felt that Eddie Edwards, his reign was more convincing. It just felt like he had a better build-up over Davey Richards. Now, granted, Eddie Edwards might feel a bit more mid-card-ish next to Davey, because I think Davey gets cheered more, and he's had matches against guys like Tyler Black and all those guys. If it had been booked the way I would have booked it, Davey would have won it first, and then Eddie would have stayed as TV champion. But because Eddie won the TV championship, and I think he was a great TV champion, he was a great mid-card champion, and then he won the big belt, you know what I'm saying, and against Roderick Strong, I believe. The thing is, Eddie Edwards, he's good. There's something different about him. There's something unique about him. He's got this kind of arrogant, he's got a baby face, this arrogance about him, and he can pull off a heel if they actually ran with this full-fledged heel type of character. It would have been really amazing if they actually did that. So he's still a great champion. There's no doubt about it. He's great in the ring. He can go toe-to-toe against guys like Davey Richards, and he can have a great match with just about anybody. And I mean, I gotta admit, I'm a freaking Eddie Edwards mark. I don't care. I'm a mark. So that's why he's so high on the list. But he's a great in-ring performer anyway. Alright, number 2, the second top champion of the year, Austin Aries. Oh, probably the most prestigious X Division title holder in a long time, in many years actually. Austin Aries he's amazing. He's great on the mic. He's got a lot of charisma. He can cut a really, really good promo. He's memorable. He's, from his return from ROH and going back to TNA and winning the X Division Championship, having feuds against Sorensen and even Kid Cash. I just watched his recent match, retaining the gold, the X Division title against Kid Cash, and I thought that was the match of the night of Final Resolution. So Austin Aries, this guy, I hope that this guy gets pushed to the main event, but right now he's one of the best champions overall in the wrestling business. He can carry that belt really, really well. So Austin Aries, definitely the best man in the world. Haha. Alright, and the number one top champion of 2011, Mark Henry, the world's strongest man. That's right, he is the world's strongest man. He is the longest reigning SmackDown champion of the year. He's held that belt for 80 plus days now, over 80 days. Now, granted, it's not the longest reign of all the champions this year, but at the same time, the SmackDown title scene has been very inconsistent. I mean, it's gone to guys, and then they would lose it right away, and then Mark Henry, just this dominant heel, this monster heel with a huge push and a pretty solid build-up throughout the whole year, keeps that belt. You know what I'm saying? He stays champion. He's fending off guys like Big Show, and he's probably going to start feuding with Kane as of this moment. He wins the championship finally at Night of Champions against Randy Orton, and they had a pretty good match, and then he retained it at least 1 or 2 times against Randy again, and it was a shocker, you know what I mean? It was kind of a moment. It was this moment where you have this veteran who you would never, maybe just a couple years ago, never imagined to ever be champion, and now he's the world champion. He's the world heavyweight champion, but it's convincing. That's the main point here, is that he's a convincing world champion. So Mark Henry, all the credit goes to him. He's great. I hope that he holds on to the big gold belt for a longer time. Do I think that he'll win? Like, if he loses, when he loses this belt, do I think he's gonna win a second time? I don't know. I doubt it. It might be another Kane thing where Kane won it last year in 2010. and then that was sort of his final moment, his final moment to shine, But all props goes to Mark Henry. I definitely dig him as a world heavyweight champion. Alright guys, so that's it for the top 10 champions of the year. And, well, stay tuned, because next time we're going to take a look at the top 10 worst champions of 2011. And, well, it's going to be the cream of the crud, because it's going to be really, 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 really bad. But I'm sure you can't wait to see that. So that's it for this episode of the Review Space. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and stay tuned. Let me know what you think. Comment in the comment section, and be sure to comment, rate, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, ciao!